Hey guys, welcome in. It's time for 30 books in 30 weeks. I'm on a little earlier than normal because I've got a hectic schedule today, but this message was one that I feel is very powerful, so I wanted to make sure that we were able to connect today. We're talking about this book, Week 8, Beyond Illusions is the title of the book. It's by a gentleman named Brad Barton, who is I cannot say the word magician to save my life sometimes. But anyway, so if you guys, as you're coming in, make sure you share this out. Invite some other people to join in. Hey, Philip. Invite some people to join in. The topic is great. The subject matter is wonderful. We're talking about how not every difficult experience is a bad experience. And I think it's important that a lot of times we take a step back in the midst of difficult experiences and difficult times, and we'll be able to look at the whole picture so we don't get distracted by the illusions of good versus bad. So if you are coming in, share this video out. If you are just joining in for the very first time, hey Miles. If you're joining in for the very first time, you don't really know who I am or what I do. My name is Marcy Batiste. I'm a public speaker. I'm an author, and I am a reality-based success and recovery trainer. What that means is we work to cure your emotional bankruptcy. That's my number one priority with my coaching clients. Walking around in the space of emotional bankruptcy is what leads to a whole lot of bad decisions and a whole lot of regrets. And so we want to avoid those things as much as possible, which is why this book is so important to me. In addition to my one-on-one coaching, I live life on Mars always. I'm sold out to my happiness always. And my favorite thing in the world is to help other women shine, to help them discover and embrace what I call their star power. And in doing so, then they are able to shed and share their light with the next one and the next one and the next one. And pretty soon we're all shining. And what I know to be true is by me lighting and igniting someone else's shine, it's never ever going to dim mine. We're all only going to shine brighter. And so that's really what I'm about. I also have a training company called Bankable Success Advisors, where I work with individuals and businesses to help them optimize their personal, emotional, professional time, energy, all of the various investments, human capital investments, you name it, so that they can truly get the best return in the least amount of time possible. So like I said, today we're going to talk real briefly about how not every difficult experience is a bad experience. That is a perception that difficult equates to bad. And I'm going to give you a very, very private and very personal example. I want to share a quote out of the book with you guys, though. It says, and this is what made me think of this. It said, to assume without examination that a difficult experience is bad denies the wisdom of a loving God and the power of the human spirit. And that really struck a chord with me as my own personal testimony in a situation that happened in my life that absolutely, from the outside looking in, most people's perspective is it's a very, very bad thing. But for me, it was something that changed my life. And then the other quote is by James Allen, and it says that, and this is why how we think is so important. It's a game changer to be able to manage the process of thought. And he says, mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind. And evermore he takes tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys and 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but a looking glass. And I want you to think about particularly the passage that it's when he says, he thinks in secret and it comes to pass. He thinks in secret and it comes to pass. That is indicative of how powerful the mind is, how powerful our thoughts are, and how important it is to manage the process of thought. And so when I say that I'm a reality-based trainer, that's what it's about. It's about having my clients assume ownership over and personal responsibility. It's about self-ownership. It's about taking back control of your life and not leaving it to chance, and understanding that your thoughts, hey Pam, I am on in the daytime. I have a really hectic schedule today, but this was an important message, so I didn't want to let the day get away from me before I got on to share. He thinks in secret and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. Environment is but his looking glass. Those two sentences right there, what he thinks in secret comes to pass, environment is but his looking glass. That is so powerful, and it struck such a strong chord with me because it's so true. What we think is what we see. What we see is what we experience. Our beliefs and our thoughts, regardless if they're ever articulated, if they're ever spoken into the universe, have such an impact on the way we view and our perception of reality. And so when he talks about it's but a looking glass, you're only seeing the manifestation of your own thoughts, whether they're private or public. And so the whole concept of not every difficult experience is bad, for me, this subject matter struck so strongly and so powerful with me because of my experience with domestic violence. And as a domestic violence champion, as an advocate, one of the things that I do with my training company is work with businesses to do domestic violence and workplace violence education and awareness. I also work with individuals in recovery from domestic violence. So, but that experience for me, as I shared at the very beginning of this, on the outside looking in, everyone says that's bad. And I'm not debating whether domestic violence is good or bad, so track with me if you would please for a moment. What I'm suggesting is that how I thought about the experience, how I received the experience, determined how my ability to recover from the experience. And so for me, oftentimes when I'm working with clients on any kind of emotional recovery, and we talk about that emotional bankruptcy, when we're working on that, we're really working on our mindset, because domestic violence is a horrendous crime. I grant you that. But to stay victim to it, we do have somewhat of a choice. We can choose how we think about that experience and how we use that experience to either hold us hostage or help us to move forward. And so for me, when I speak about domestic violence, oftentimes I share with the audience that for me, domestic violence saved my life. Now that's a very, very different take and a very, very different spin on a very grim subject matter, right? But for me, it was a very difficult experience. One of the most difficult experiences, I've ever been through. But it was also the most impactful experience that forced me to change. It forced me to assume ownership over my choices. It forced me to figure out why in the hell I kept making the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over. And what I knew to be true was that if I didn't work on myself and I didn't work on how I think and how I seek out relationships and how I engage with other people, that the next time I might not be so lucky to make it out. That the hostage situation might turn into my last breath if I didn't make changes. So yes, it was a very difficult experience. Yes, domestic violence is horrible. But how I receive my place in this world as it relates to being victimized by someone that I cared about is all up to me. What I understood was that it was his choice to be abusive. But I can also choose not to remain victim of the abuse. And so for me, shifting how I thought about the experience of domestic violence from one of saying I'm a victim of domestic violence to shifting to say I'm a survivor of domestic violence, that was my first step. And then once I got beyond survivor, I was able to say I am a champion of domestic violence. I'm a champion of domestic violence. Not because I'm any better or any different than anyone else, but I've done my work, I've healed, and now I'm helping and I'm paying it forward to other people so that they can heal and they can enjoy recovery from abuse. And that's the difference between being a victim a survivor, and a champion. A survivor, you're making it through, you're still doing your work, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's an important stage. We all have to go through it in the healing process, whether it's domestic violence we're recovering from, whether it's any kind of negative situation. But difficult does not have to mean bad. Difficult can mean a game changer. For me, difficult meant a lifesaver, because I know for a fact that I live my life so differently now, 6 years later, than I did in April of 2012, on April 17th, 2012. The decisions I made to enter into that relationship at the end of 2010, early 2011, I'm a different person. I'm a different person because of that difficult experience. And that's, if I can give you one takeaway from this book and the importance of going beyond illusions and not just looking at the surface, it is this: your thoughts will change your life. Like the author said, your reality is but your looking glass. What you experience in life. He said, I'm going to read it because I tend to misquote things, so I'm going to read it to you again. It said, mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind. And evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. So what you think can either bring you joy or it can bring you pain. It's your choice. And that's the piece when we talk about reality-based training, when we talk about living in reality, loving in reality, that's what I'm talking about. What you think brings forth 1,000 joys or 1,000 ills. And then when he went on to say, this was the game changer for me, when he went on to say, he thinks in secret shall come to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. That's your takeaway for today. Your environment is your looking glass of your thoughts. It is the manifestation of what you think when no one's looking. It's a manifestation of the things that you do when no one sees. It's a manifestation of the conversations you have with yourself that you'd never talk about to anyone else, that you don't talk about at cocktail parties, that you don't even tell your best friend. But if you're thinking it, you're manifesting it into the universe, because God is all-knowing. And like the author said, you are, by assuming that a difficult experience is a bad one, you are discounting God's ability. You are discounting the power of the human spirit. So please stop that, because I'm trying to tell you, it's a game changer. Once you learn to do differently, to think differently about your place in this world, about your place even in difficult experiences. No, it wasn't my fault that he was abusive, but I gotta own what I have to own from that experience. Was I chose to be in a relationship with him, and at one point he was exactly what I wanted. The universe sent me everything I could have dreamed of, and then it turned all the way wrong. Not because of me, but because he made choices that were outside of my control. I have no management over that. I have no ownership over that. That's right, Pamela. Change your thoughts, change your life. I'm telling you guys, this is a game changer. When I talk about going beyond illusions, when I talk about living a reality-based life, when I talk about self-ownership, personal ownership, I'm not talking about it from a perspective of, oh, hey, this sounds cool, maybe we should try it. I'm telling you from a place of personal, intimate testimony that it changes your life. So that's my message. That is why I got on here early today, because when this struck me this morning, I said, you know what? I cannot forgo this message today. I cannot forgo this message. Somebody needs to hear this message. So please, if you have not done so, please share this video out. I saw that some of you have already shared. Thank you so much for that. But somebody needs that message today. Somebody needs to change how they think. Somebody needs to hear that change is a choice, and it is within their grasp, that better is possible. Okay? So that's my message for today. Have an amazing day, you guys. I appreciate you all for jumping on. I appreciate you for tuning in. I appreciate you for sharing out. If you want more information about how to live a reality-based life, how to challenge reality and challenge your thought process, there's a worksheet available that you can download from my website. There's a link, all the videos about reality-based living, reality-based training, are within on my YouTube channel. There's also a link for that. So that's my word for today. I love you all. I appreciate you all. Thank you, Gillette. I appreciate you all, and most of all, as always, thanks for living life on Mars, and we will chat soon. Have a good one, guys.